Maya Collins had always been invisible in Millbrook, Texas, and honestly, that's exactly how she liked it. This small town sat quietly between rolling hills and endless skies, where everyone knew everyone's business except hers. For 6 years, she ran Collins Auto Repair out of a weathered building on the outskirts, fixing trucks and tractors with hands that seemed to remember things no one else could see. Every morning before dawn, locals heard the same deep mechanical rumble rolling from behind her shop, shaking windows blocks away. They called it Maya's Thunder, joking she must be rebuilding jet engines back there. If only they knew how close to the truth they were. Maya was 42, but carried herself with the kind of controlled grace that made you think she was much younger. Dark hair pulled back beneath a faded baseball cap, green eyes that held a weary look making folks think twice before asking questions. She wore the same outfit every day: jeans, boots, a navy tank top under an oil-stained jumpsuit she never zipped all the way up. A thin scar ran along her collarbone, barely visible but always there like a signature she couldn't erase. The townspeople had their theories. Some whispered she'd fled an abusive marriage. Others suspected she was hiding from the law. Old Henry at the diner swore she'd been military, pointing to the way she stood at attention when the flag went up at the school. But Maya answered only what needed answering, keeping a clear line this far and no further. What no one knew was hidden behind the hangar at the back of her shop, tucked beneath overgrown oak trees and rusty chain link, fencing a battered UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter, stripped of weapons but maintained with meticulous care. Maya had spent years bringing it back to life, sourcing parts through channels no civilian should know about, rebuilding systems from memory alone. No call sign, no official markings, just one word faintly etched inside the pilot's door: Valkyrie. Every Sunday evening, when the shop closed and the town settled into its weekend quiet, Maya would sit in that cockpit, staring through the cracked windshield at the setting sun, hands resting on the controls like old friends. For just a moment, the careful mask she wore slipped. She wasn't Maya Collins, the mechanic, then she was someone else entirely. But that Monday, storm clouds gathered, and it wasn't just the weather brewing trouble. Maya was deep under the Black Hawk chassis when she heard vehicles approaching, not local trucks, but heavy SUVs with military suspensions, engines growling with a precision that made her blood run cold. She slid out from under the aircraft, wiping grease off her hands, as 3 black SUVs rolled up the gravel path, no license plates, no markings. 6 men stepped out in perfect synchronization, followed by a young officer in crisp fatigues who surveyed the area like he expected to find exactly what he was looking for. No introductions, just a look the kind that holds all the cards. "You're Maya Collins," he said. No question. She met his gaze steady, calm, the kind you learn after years of practice. His smile widened. "We need to talk." Behind her, hidden under a canvas tarp, hung a flight suit she hadn't worn in years. Still pressed. Still waiting. For the first time in 6 years, Maya felt her carefully constructed life begin to crumble. The officer stepped closer, boots crunching gravel. "We know who you really are, Valkyrie, and we need your help." That name hit her like a punch to the gut, but her expression didn't change. Some secrets have a way of finding you, no matter how deep you bury them, and this one had just walked on her property wearing government badges and knowing smiles. "I think you have the wrong person," she said quietly. But deep in the hangar, the Black Hawk systems hummed with readiness. Maya Collins, the woman who never officially existed, knew the quiet life she'd built in Millbrook was about to end. Lieutenant Marcus Hayes carried himself like someone who'd never been told no. His team spread out around the hangar, professionals moving with practiced efficiency, not threatening, but not casual either. "This is private property," Maya said, stepping between Hayes and the hangar door. "You don't have a warrant." Hayes reached into his jacket and produced a folded document. "Federal authorization under Section 10 to 214. We're investigating reports of unauthorized military assets in civilian hands." He glanced meaningfully at the tarp behind her. "Quite a restoration project you've got there." Maya's jaw tightened. The Black Hawk had been salvaged through legitimate channels, technically. The paperwork was buried so deep in military bureaucracy that it would take months to unravel. But Hayes' presence meant someone had been watching, waiting. "I buy and sell scrap metal," she said. "Engine parts mostly. Nothing that flies." One of Hayes' men approached with a handheld scanner, sweeping it across the hangar's exterior wall. It pinged 3 times in quick succession. The man looked back at Hayes and nodded. Hayes' smile never wavered. "The thing about aircraft, Miss Collins, is they leave signatures, heat patterns, electromagnetic fields, fuel residue, even when they're supposedly inoperable." He took a step closer. "Your bird's been active. Very recently." Maya felt the familiar weight of being hunted, the same feeling that had driven her to disappear 10 years ago. But this time was different. This time, she had something to protect, not just her identity, but the life she'd built here. "You're fishing," she said. "Am I?" Hayes pulled out a tablet, swiping to a series of aerial photographs, satellite imagery from 3 weeks ago, showing unidentified aircraft moving through restricted airspace over the Nevada desert. The flight pattern matched maneuvers only taught in classified programs. He looked up at her. Programs that officially never existed. The pilot who flew that route knew tactics only taught to a very select group of aviators, Ghost Squadron pilots. To be specific, Maya recognized the terrain and the flying. It had been a test run checking systems after a major overhaul. She thought she was invisible. "Could be anyone," she said. Hayes' expression hardened slightly. "There's no Ghost Squadron," she said finally. "Never was." Officially, she was right. Hayes put the tablet away. "But we both know the truth, don't we, Captain Maya Valkyrie Collins?" The name, her real name, hit like a punch to the gut. Maya Collins had died in a desert 10 years ago, erased from every database and official memory. Maya Collins had been born in her place, quiet and unremarkable. But now the past had found her anyway. Hayes stepped closer, lowering his voice. "We're not here to arrest you. There's a situation developing, and frankly, you're the only pilot alive with the skills to handle it." "I don't fly anymore," Maya said. "A Navy SEAL team is pinned down in hostile territory. Their extraction pilot bailed when things got hot. The weather window is closing. If we don't get them out in the next 12 hours. Hayes let the implication hang. Maya turned away, staring at the storm clouds building on the horizon. "Send someone else." "We tried. 3 pilots refused the mission." "Too dangerous," he said, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. "Narrow canyon, crosswinds, heavy ground fire. One of the men down there is Jackson Cruz." "Ring any bells?" Maya's shoulders tensed almost imperceptibly. Jackson had been her wingman, her shadow in the sky during the worst missions Ghost Squadron had ever flown. More than that, he was her godson, the boy she'd watched grow from a scrappy kid into one of the military's elite operators. Hayes noticed her reaction. "He specifically requested you if anything went wrong." Said Valkyrie was the only pilot crazy enough to fly into hell and skilled enough to fly back out. Maya closed her eyes, feeling the weight of old promises, old loyalties she'd tried so hard to bury. Behind her, the Black Hawk sat silent, but ready, systems checked, fuel tanks topped off from her weekly maintenance routine. "How did you find me?" she asked. Hayes smiled grimly. "Jackson never forgot about you. He's been tracking your movements for years, just in case. When we needed a miracle pilot, he gave us coordinates and a name. Maya Collins, mechanic in Millbrook, Texas. Said to look for the woman who fixed engines by day and flew ghosts by night." The team began packing up their equipment, but Hayes remained, watching her face in the fading light. "We'll be at the airfield in 1 hour. Your choice. But if you don't come, good people die. And Jackson Cruz becomes just another casualty of a war that officially doesn't exist." As the SUVs disappeared down the gravel road, Maya stood alone in the gathering dusk, the storm moving closer, now lightning flickering like muzzle flashes on the horizon. Her flight suit hung waiting, and the Black Hawk's instruments glowed softly in the darkness. For 6 years, Maya Collins had been invisible. But Valkyrie? Valkyrie was about to wake up.